everybody. This is Claudia Wells, the original Jennifer Parker in Back to the Future. And you're listening to Tommy, Throwback, Kovac on Splat from the Past. That's good advice, Tommy.
Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I am just so excited for my third guest today on Halloween October on Splat from the Past because I'm going to be interviewing a 80s teen movie icon amongst icons. I've been wanting him on the show ever since I first started it, and I did not know he was reachable until just recently. Robert Romanus. Yes, Mike fucking Damone himself. I'm having Robert Romanus on to talk about Fast Times at Ridgemont High. He was in so many great movies. Foxes, Bad Medicine, Pulse, The Resurrected. He was on Facts of Life. So many great stuff he did in the 80s and 90s. I'm having him on the show today to talk about that stuff and his band Papa's Kitchen, and he owned an espresso bar for a while as well, and he's going to be at 80s in the Sand in the Dominican Republic starting this weekend until the following weekend with friends Diane Franklin and Julia Montgomery and Amanda Wiss, Curtis Armstrong, Robert Hayes, Tawny Katane. And I can't wait. It's an honor and a privilege to have Robert Romanus on today. So yeah, here is my interview with Robert Romanus. Hey, Robert.
Hey, how are you, pal?
I'm great. How are you, sir?
Pretty good, thanks.
Oh, it's such an honor. Thank you for taking the time on such short notice on Halloween today.
Oh, that's all right. What's going on there? Where are you now?
Redding, California.
Okay.
Yeah, originally from San Francisco.
Nice.
Yeah, wish I was where you're at, though.
Well, not this weekend with all the fires.
Oh, yeah. Did you have to evacuate?
I don't know. I'm close to Dodger Stadium, so.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
It's really scary.
Oh, it sure is.
So, I know that your brother Richard is an actor too, and originally you came to LA with plans of being a musician. What kind of music were you playing back in those days?
Well, back in those days, I was a drummer. Mm-hmm. And my dream really was to be one of the drummers for Doc Severinsen's band on The Tonight Show. Mm-hmm. I played all different types of music as a drummer, and that to me was what the appeal was, you know.
Yeah.
I love jazz, I love rock and roll, country, whatever. I just like to play.
Yeah. You grew up listening to like Buddy Rich and Gene Krupa?
Yeah, actually, I think I've seen Buddy Rich like 5 times before I was out of high school.
Wow.
And, but, you know, John Bonham, there's some great drummers out there. Ringo Starr's maybe one of my favorite drummers.
Oh, yeah. And we just lost the great Ginger Baker.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that was kind of my era, actually, growing up, you know, for rock and roll.
Yeah. I bet the best era of rock and roll, in my opinion.
It sure was good.
Yeah. So after a while, did you just decide that the music scene was too competitive in LA and that you wanted to act?
No, what happened was I got a job in a restaurant. I got a job in a restaurant where the employees had to get up and sing, play guitar and sing. Mm-hmm. And I was very shy. And so I took an acting class to get over my shyness. And I really fell in love with the idea that I could be anything I wanted to be on stage as an actor. And just started to really pursue that. And had some good fortune at it pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, you were some really good stuff really fast and everything. Did your brother encourage you?
No, I don't even think he knew I was taking an acting class at that time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to be a musician and was just trying to get over my shyness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember when he was the voice of the cab driver in the Heavy Metal cartoon, and
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who think that that's you doing the voice.
Well, we can sound alike, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So was what I know that Foxes was your first movie. Was that also your first audition?
Foxes was, yeah, I think it might have been one of my very first. I'd known the casting agent, Penny Perry,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew her through hanging out at Schwab's and my brother and his friends, and she called me in on that, and yeah, that was my first real gig.
I've heard a lot of stories about actors getting discovered at Schwab's. That was like the place to go to back in those days if you wanted to get discovered.
Well, I know Lana Turner was discovered there, and the truth is Schwab's was a little pharmacy, and they also had a little diner area. That's where a lot of actors used to hang out. A lot of show business people would come in and just, you know, eat breakfast and hang out and talk about showbiz, and it was like a little community. It was really nice.
Yeah, it's gone now, right?
Yeah, sure is, yeah.
Do you know what it is now?
Now it's like a movie theater, big kind of complex with stores and stuff.
Oh, okay. So at that time, Jodie Foster was trying to break into adult roles because she had done Taxi Driver, and Scott Baio was trying to break away from Chachi, and that was Adrian Lyne's first movie.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And also Cherie Curie's first movie.
Oh yeah, she was a musician. Did you have conversations with her about music?
No, never did. I didn't even know she was one of the
Runaways.
bombs. What do you call it? One of the Joan Jett.
The Runaways.
The Runaways. Yeah.
Yeah.
I should know that because I did the movie later. Later in life, I did the her book. They made a movie out of her book, The Runaways.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Foxes is a great movie, and it's a really good commentary on Hollywood at that time. Would you say that it was pretty accurate?
Yeah, in fact, it's based on a true story.
Oh, it is.
The writer's daughter, Gerald Ayers, I think, is the writer, and his daughter had gone through something very similar to that. She wasn't the one who was doing the drugs, but her friend, and yeah, I thought it was very realistic, and I think it's it captures the valley in the 70s really beautifully, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The culture in the valley, you know.
Mm-hmm. It sure does. So then comes the immortal Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah.
How did you get the role of Mike Damone?
Well, that it all started at Schwab's. My mother came out to visit, and I said, "What do you want to do?" She said, "Well, let's go to Schwab's, see if she could see any actors." So we went, and we're having breakfast, and this guy walked in. He was an agent,
mm-hmm.
and I didn't have an agent. And HBO had just started, and they were running Foxes. And he came in, and he said, "I saw you on TV last night. You were really good." I said, "Thanks." He said, "You need an agent?" I said, "Sure." So I started working with them, and I think maybe the first or maybe second audition he sent me out on was Fast Times. And that took my very first time I met with Amy Heckerling, my first audition. She said, "Don't cut your hair." And I thought, well, great, I got a good shot. And then it took about 7 weeks of auditioning, going in every week. I would think, I think, well, I didn't get it. I didn't hear from them. Then I get a call. They want to see you again. Mm-hmm. I go in, and by the end of 7 weeks, I'd read every scene in the script. I'd done improvs. I went to hair and makeup. And finally, after like 7 weeks of something like that, I just looked at the producer, Art Linson, and said, I really like the part. I think I could do a good job, but I'm not going to come back. And that's when he said, welcome aboard. And I think later on I found out from Amy that his concern was that I looked too old for the part.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up getting it, and the rest is history, I guess.
Isn't it true, though, that Ralph Macchio was up for the part?
I really don't know. I mean, I have gone up for many parts with Ralph Macchio,
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if they saw a lot of people for that,
Mm-hmm. I remember back in the early 2000s, there was an internet rumor, it was on IMDb, that Ralph Macchio ended up in the cafeteria crowd during the carrot scene, but now it's been taken off because it wasn't true.
Yeah, I don't think he was there at all.
Yeah, and plus I've watched it so many times, and he's obviously not in there. It's clearly visible.
Yeah, no, he's not in there at all. You can't believe everything you see on the internet.
No.
I was driving my kids to school one day when I heard, I hear Damone, he's homeless living in the valley now. So you never know.
Oh, God, that's brutal. So you knew the character really well because you come from a music background, and you probably knew a lot of ticket scalpers.
Well, no, not really. That wasn't my thing, growing up. But music was always my thing. But, I sort of played him as a kind of a fish out of water, somebody who came to this area from New Jersey, and he was just trying to be a big shot, really,
Yeah.
without anything really to back it up. And he sold concert tickets. That's how he made his money, and that's how he got to go to concerts and stuff. So, but no, I was never in that business.
Yeah, well, I wasn't suggesting that you were, but, ticket scalping was, really popular back in those days. Now it's illegal.
Oh, yeah.
The chemistry...
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. The chemistry between you and Brian Backer is so unparalleled because, you wouldn't expect those two type of New York guys to be going to a school like Ridgemont in L.A., and the way you two, play off each other, it's just, it's magical. It's one of the best on-screen friendships, I think.
Well, he's a wonderful actor, Brian. We hung out all the time during the shooting of that, as I think did, like Sean hang out with Coley's buds,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody just sort of hung with their groups, and Brian and I really had a nice connection. He's a wonderful actor, a really nice guy, and I don't know where he is these days. I haven't heard from him in a long time.
Yeah, I think he went back to New York or something and did theater over there.
Yeah, he sure could have, yeah.
I heard it was freezing cold during the football game scene.
What did you hear about? I don't remember that at all.
Kelly Maroney told me.
Oh, wow, she probably would remember. She was a cheerleader.
Yeah, she said...
I was sitting in a crowd with a bunch of people, so maybe I didn't notice.
Yeah, because you were all warm, But she said, yeah, the football game scene was longer, and she was dancing to the stripper song that the marching band played.
Oh, I could see that then.
Yeah. Did you improvise a lot in the movie?
Well, I improvised some, not a lot. I mean, that's basically that's Cameron Crowe's wonderful writing,
Mm-hmm.
A couple lines I improvised were, let's see, when I fall against the locker after the fighting scene, I say, I don't know what happened. I woke up, I was in such a good mood. That was an improv.
Mm-hmm.
You bought $40 worth of fucking film.
Yeah.
That wasn't an improv, but you don't even own a camera. That was an improv. And where'd you get that? Out of the hamper? That's probably an improv.
How about This Is Great Iced Tea?
Oh, that's a line. That's written right in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How awkward was the virginity loss scene?
Well, it was awkward for about a minute, you know, and then, you know, it's a closed set. You don't have 200 people standing around watching. You have the director, the cinematographer, the sound man, and that's probably it. And you know, you know, you get a little uncomfortable for the first minute or so when you're out there and you're naked, and you know, after a minute or two, it's like you don't even really notice it. You're just kind of working, you know.
Yeah.
And the truth is, the character's supposed to be uncomfortable. So whatever discomfort I had, I would just use it as the character, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Put it into the character, because he obviously was a virgin.
Yeah.
And scared out of his mind, you know.
Yeah. How did you get into the Styx Kilroy Was Here video?
Oh, they contacted me.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing that video, and Tommy was going to be the Rebels, one of the Rebel star, and he needed a sidekick, and they were looking for someone who was an actor, an actual actor, to work with them. And so, yeah, they contacted me and asked me if I'd like to do it, and I said, hell yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know you did it until I was looking it up on IMDb. I was like, really? Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was a really fun shoot, and I got to know Tommy really well. We got to hang out for a long time, and then I kind of lost track of him.
Yeah, I saw Styx a couple of years ago, open for Def Leppard in Mountain View, California. They did a really good show. They skipped a lot of the Dennis DeYoung classics to do the Tommy Shaw classics, but it was a really good show.
Great. I love him.
Mm-hmm. They had a really good stage show with lights and everything. It was pretty good. My earliest memory of you was in Bad Medicine.
Yeah. That was a fun film. We shot that in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Spent about 3 months in Spain, in Madrid. And, you know, hanging out with Taylor Negron and Steve Guttenberg and Julie Kavner, Julie Haggerty,
Curtis
Alan
Armstrong.
Arkin. What a great time that was.
Yeah, I met Curtis Armstrong a few years ago, and he told me when you guys were stealing the dead body, that was a street mime. That guy was a street mime.
Yeah, I think he was. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, he was one of the locals. He was really, really good.
Yeah, he may as well.
Really funny.
Yeah, he may as well have been a stuntman, because he looked like he handled it really well.
Oh, he was fabulous. Yeah, that was so much fun.
Yeah, hilarious too. And I also read in Curtis's book that Alan Arkin and Harvey Miller didn't get along very well.
Well, I don't know about that. You know, I usually stay out of all that stuff. But, you know, Harvey Miller, he was an interesting guy, really funny. I think it was his first film that he was directing. And, you know, Alan Arkin, he's an old pro, so he comes with his strong ideas. So you never know, but certainly I wasn't privy to any of that, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys...
and if I see it, I'll probably turn around, walk out the door, really. You know? I like to stay out of that stuff.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, nobody wants to be a part of that stuff. But you guys must have just been in awe of Alan Arkin.
Oh, God, one of my heroes. And, you know, one night we were all sitting around in, I guess maybe my room, and I had a guitar, and we were singing songs. And Alan came in with Harvey, and he started playing a song, and I think he said he wrote it. And it was the Banana Boat song. You know that song?
Oh, yeah, from Harry Belafonte?
Yeah, Deo, Deo. That's, he actually, I think, wrote that back in the days when he was with the Four Freshmen. Mm-hmm. And you could look that up, but I think that's how the story goes. And I thought that was really cool.
Oh, that is cool, yeah. And how great was Taylor Negron?
Taylor was such a sweet man. I've known him for a long time, not just in this film, but
Fast Times.
we've been friends really for a long time, since Fast Times, and I used to hang out with a bunch of comics at all the comedy stores and stuff. So he was such a sweet guy, and I'm glad I got to hang out with him for some time.
Mm-hmm. I was really surprised when I found out that he died, because he was loved by all of his fellow comedians.
Oh, everybody loved him. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you remember the episode you did of Tales from the Dark Side?
Yeah, sure. I did that with the guy I used to work on Fame with. Played the professor on Professor Sharovsky or something on Fame. Mm-hmm. He played the shoe, the cobbler, and Tales from the Dark Side. That was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, it's a very interesting premise of living people's lives when you put their shoes on.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you get to meet George Romero?
No, I don't think I did. Wait, who was? Was he on that show?
He was a producer, yeah. And
oh no, I probably didn't meet him.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people who were on that show, and they all told me, they didn't get to meet him either. I guess he was never there.
Yeah, probably doing other stuff,
Yeah. And then you got to be on some episodes of The Facts of Life.
Yeah, I did, I think 6 total. In their final season, I was picked to deflower Mindy Cohn. Natalie. That was my task, and I accomplished it. Had a lot of fun. They're great, man. Those girls were all great.
Yeah.
Really nice, yeah.
Got to return the favor. Yeah. I never understood why the character's name was Snake, though. You didn't look like a snake.
No, I have no idea, and I played a character on Days of Our Lives. His name was Speed. I have no idea why he was the slowest moving guy ever. I'm anything but speedy.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a cliche, though, that a guy named Snake is usually a guy, in leather and tattoos and all that stuff.
Wow. I can't account for the name, but I sure had a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great. Cloris Leachman was on at that time.
Oh, what a sweetheart she was. So funny.
Mm-hmm. She's one of the greats. I can't believe she's still alive. It's pretty cool.
I know.
Then you did the very underrated horror movie Pulse.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
I forgot all about that one. But I think I played a TV repairman in that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you know that Cliff D. Young was a musician before he acted?
I didn't know.
Yeah, he had a band called Crystal Light. They sounded a lot like The Doors, and ironically, they were on the Elektra label the same time as The Doors. They recorded one album, and it was produced by The Doors producer Paul Rothchild, and it didn't go anywhere. So then the band broke up, and then he turned to acting.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, if you go on YouTube, you can listen to the album. It's really good.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a really good album. Did you like working with Dan O'Banion on The Resurrected?
I really did. I liked Dan. He was, again, a first-time director on that film. So, there were some issues, but I thought he was a really nice guy. The cast was really fun, and, we're shooting up in Vancouver, and I love horror movies.
Me
I love
too.
to be in them. I don't really like to watch them, but I sure like to be in them. And so I had a ball with this one. And in fact, one day, the police all came out to the set because there were body parts, prosthetic body parts that the special effects had made that they had put in the river, were floating down the river. And some people saw them and thought it was real, so they called the police, and it was a whole thing. Yeah, that was fun. Dan O'Bannon, he's a nice guy.
Yeah. How was Chris Sarandon?
Oh, what a cool guy he is. I run into him now every now and again, too. So he's a really nice guy, good actor. They all were, you know. I tell you, I'm a pretty easygoing guy. There are very few people I don't get along with. Mm-hmm. And like I say, you know, I kind of stay out of everybody's beefs, you know.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm never happier than when I'm on a set working. So, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah, I have met Chris Sarandon at a horror convention back in April, and you know, I was a little intimidated at first because he's such an intense guy on the screen, right? But I was surprised at how sweet he was. You know, I told him, I said, you know, Mr. Sarandon, I think you're one of the great American actors, and he said, "Thank you, Tommy. I really appreciate that." And I was just like, wow, because he's such an intense guy, you know.
Well, I think a lot of people who are very intense on screen are really sweet in real life, you know. Mm-hmm. It's where you get your angst out, and then in life you're just kind of floating, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard stories about really nice character actors playing bad guys on screen in the last like 30, 40 years and stuff. But back in the old days, a lot of those grizzled character actors on screen really were like that off stage, like Wallace Berry, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure you got to, you know, there'll be examples for sure of you know, bad guys on screen, bad guys in real life. For, you know, I guess you find all types.
Mm-hmm. So when did you form Papa's Kitchen?
Well, Papa's Kitchen, gee, might have been around 1995. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I have a lot of musician friends. And let me see, we were both married, my songwriting partner and I, and we just decided that twice a week we were going to get together and not even write songs, but just sort of jam and, you know, get our angst out through the week, you know, and I mean, it's like 20 years later or something. I don't know how many years it's been now, but we still get together twice a week. Mm-hmm. If for nothing else to jam, but we write and we record, and you know, eventually it turned into actual songwriting and actual producing of these tunes and stuff. Well, at first it was just sort of whatever comes out. That's what it is, you know.
Yeah, it's mostly acoustic rock, right?
Mostly acoustic rock. That's what I'd call it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you had an espresso bar for a while.
Yeah, I opened up a coffee shop in North Hollywood. I had that for a few years. I sold it because finally, in the end, it was nickel business with dollar problems, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And but the beauty of it was 6 nights a week I would have entertainment. I'd have open mic comedy night. Mm-hmm. I'd get like maybe 40 comics come through every Friday night, you know.
Yep.
And I'd have jazz night and poetry night. And in 1 year, we were the #2 place to come hear poetry in Los Angeles. So that was really thrilling. But finally, in the end, I'm really not a good businessman. I think I gave away more coffee than I sold.
You're just a generous guy.
I'm a sucker is what I am.
But yeah, I did stand up in the Bay Area for 10 years, and a couple guys I know told me they came down to your place and they saw Bill Burr go up on stage and kill all the time.
Goddamn, Bill Burr now. I didn't even know him, but a friend of mine, Dean Del Rey, who's another comic, he brought Bill Burr down. He said Robert Romanus has a coffee shop, and Bill Burr, I guess, was a fan from Fast Time. So he came down, he did open mic one night. Maybe did 15 minutes. And, my God, what an amazing comic he is. And then, you know, my shop was in a little trouble, and Bill came down. He tweeted out like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll be at Bob's Espresso Bar, 8 o'clock tonight, and do a show. must have had 60 people jammed in there, sitting on the floor, sitting on counters. And he did one of his, a whole stand-up special before he recorded it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He went through this whole, must have been an hour or so. And my God, I have so much great respect for that guy, man. He, you know, he's such a giving person.
Mm-hmm.
He's so funny, and he deserves everything coming his way, that's for sure.
Yeah. And Dean Del Rey, he's pretty good too.
I love Dean, man.
Yeah.
He's a top-notch dude.
Yeah, he's got some great musician stories too, I've heard.
Oh, God, you ever hear his podcast?
Oh, yeah.
I think his last show he just did was with Paul Stanley, you know, so he got some really good musicians on. He knows a lot about music, too, you know.
Yeah, I got to listen to that one. I'm a big Kiss fan.
Yeah.
So this weekend and next, you'll be at 80s in the Sand in the Dominican Republic, along with my good friends Diane Franklin and Julia Montgomery, plus
great.
Curtis Armstrong, Amanda Wiss, Robert Hayes, and Tawny Katane. Wow, what a lineup.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
And some great musicians like Greg Kinn, Sammy Hagar, Lita Ford, Kix, Glass Tiger.
Paul Young.
Yeah, Paul Young. Wow, were you there last year?
I was, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I went last year, had so much fun. I'm going back this year.
Yeah, was it cold out there?
No, man. It's the Caribbean. It's like, you know, very hot and humid, but the ocean's right there, and they're like 10 big swimming pools and music going all day, and they have all the 80s DJs like Downtown Julie Brown. They're playing games with the people in the pool all day and trivia games and stuff. It's just one big party, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got a nice paid vacation. I got to bring my girl, and
that's great.
Gosh, what's not to love about that?
Oh yeah, and how long does it take to fly there?
Well, we fly from here. We fly to D.C., L.A. to D.C., D.C. to Dominican. It's not that long, maybe 7 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But then a little layover in D.C., so.
It's not that long of a wait, though, from D.C. to there, right?
I'm not sure what the layover is, but, you know, it's not like flying to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was an 11-hour flight to London I took last year. That was a long one. This one's more like, you know, probably about 7-8 hours total.
Yeah. I wish I could be there to see you guys, though, but if you guys are ever in, you know, California doing signings and stuff, you know, I'll always be there, you know.
Great.
Well, Robert, I hope you have a great time, and I appreciate you coming on here at such short notice. Like I said, I hope we meet at a signing someday in California, or maybe I'll come to one of your shows.
Oh, that'd be nice, man.
Yes.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Thank you so much, sir.
Good luck with your podcast.
Thank you so much, sir. You have yourself a happy Halloween and happy holidays.
All right, pal. Take care.
Okay, take care. Well, there you have it. Robert Romanus, Mike Damone. Ain't he a fucking cool dude? Yes, he is. That was a great interview. Really nice guy. I enjoyed talking to him. And hope he has fun at 80s in the Sand, November 2nd through the 9th in the Dominican Republic. Go check it out. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.